Wael Ghonim was a Google executive who became a revolutionary. Taking up the cause of Khaled Said, a young Egyptian beaten to death by police, he launched a Facebook page that would help galvanise his nation to depose a dictatorship. He's just written a book, Revolution 2.0, and I spoke with him earlier. Wael Ghonim, welcome.
Thanks.
You describe yourself in your book as a typically cautious, easily intimidated Egyptian, unengaged in politics, who did not dare protest against the regime. What turned you into a revolutionary?
It all happened without planning. It all happened one event after another. I got hooked up with Egyptian politics in 2010 when Mohammed al-Baradei came back to Egypt and said that he's interested in taking part of the change campaign, and I thought I should also start, helping with the expertise I have in online and in marketing to promote that cause and make sure that as many Egyptians as I can subscribe to it.
But then in June 2010, you've got a great job, you're living in Dubai, you're a Google executive, and you see a picture of Khaled Said, who has been killed, who's been beaten to death by police, and that really is the spark, isn't it, that sets you on this path?
When I saw Khaled's photo, I was really sad and angry at the same time, and I said that I have to do something. I have to make sure to help in making this a public case, so Khaled get his right, as well as we put enough pressure on the police to change their perception or perspective about how they treat the Egyptians. And the first day when when I created the page, 36,000 people joined, which was a very strong signal, which was a very strong message to me before anyone else that probably we can actually unite, we can seek our rights, and we can do it.
And this is a Facebook page that you set up in tribute to him, and thousands of people began to join. But then again, there's another big step along the way, isn't there? You're still in Dubai, this page is going quite well, and then you see the events unfolding in Tunis. So that is another part of this puzzle that leads you down the path of being a revolutionary.
When Tunisia happened, something have completely changed. For the first time in my personal life, I've seen an Arab dictator apologizing for his people. That was on the 13th. And I started to completely shift my perception of what, our ability to do change when I saw him leaving Tunisia. A lot of the comments on the page at the time were basically saying, we are in a much worse situation than Tunisia. We've got to do something. So the next obvious day was the police day on Jan 25th. I wrote on the page, today is Jan 14th. Jan 25th is in almost 10 days. If 100,000 of us take to the street, no one is going to stop us.
But then you make another big personal step, which is you decide to leave your wife and 2 children in Dubai and travel to Egypt yourself to be part of that revolution. And that must have been very difficult for your family, particularly your wife, who's had to put up with this stage of months of you being obsessed by this internet site.
Yeah, my wife is actually American. She's not Egyptian, so that even makes it harder. As I explained in the book, in the book I was trying to give a perspective of all the personal surroundings and to prove that I'm just a very ordinary person. So I mentioned my story with my wife when I was leaving, and she was basically very sad and frustrated, and she was very worried about me.
She was right to be worried, wasn't she? Because when you get to Egypt, you are arrested and you are associated with this site, which has been seen as being the spark by the regime for what's happening in Egypt. What was it like in the 11 days that you spent in that prison cell?
It was very hard. The hardest part of it is that you're blindfolded and handcuffed, and you're not allowed to speak with anyone. No one is speaking with you. You have no clue of what's happening outside, so you are waiting for the unknown. I was sitting down for hours and hours, running out of thought. If it wasn't for the daily prayers that Muslims have to do, I would have completely lost perception of the time, because they would never remove the blindfold from me.
And what was it like when you emerged from your cell to find that the revolution had been continuing and that the regime was teetering on the brink?
I go to the square right after the interview, the next day, from the interview I've done on TV, and I see hundreds of thousands of people uniting for the first time. It felt to me that it wasn't just 11 days, it was about 11 years, because the amount of change I experienced in the square was enormous. It was beyond my personal imagination.
And has Egypt changed, or has one man been changed and the regime itself staying in place?
I believe a lot have changed in Egypt. One, a critical mass of Egyptians are no longer scared to speak up their mind and to voice out their concerns and to tell those who are ruling us what is right and what is wrong in their point of view. And the second is that we're experiencing a new era where a lot of Egyptians are being engaged in politics. This is a community that used to say that this country is their country, and their here refers to the regime. And today, we are seeing tons of thousands of new activists, tons of thousands of Egyptians participating, taking place in political parties, forming political groups and movements, joining existing movements, as well as, you know, we've seen 27 million Egyptians for the first time in 60 years taking to the streets to pick up whom they want to be representing them in the parliament.
Well, Wael Ghonim, I know that you describe yourself as just one of 1,000 snowflakes, but you probably were the snowflake that started the avalanche, so thank you.
Thanks, I appreciate your words.